Hey everyone, my name is Alan and you found your way to my channel. This is Flip House Finds. It's not only the name of the channel where you find yourself right now, it's also the name of a small business I started back in January of 2025 selling Pokemon cards online. If you find any value in any of the content on my channel or in this video itself, if you wouldn't mind giving me a like, a subscribe, or supporting the channel, and you can find out how to support the channel right down below in the description and click on the link and it should be pretty self-explanatory. But would love to hear your comments and your thoughts on this video, and if you've got ideas for future content, leave that down in the comments down below. I do my very best to reply to all the comments. I think I've done it to all the comments so far in all my videos, but this channel's not even a month old and I'm still learning, and hopefully can maybe even help you begin to create content one day if I can do a series on that. But before I dive in, I want to just say that I really appreciate the comments that I've received so far. I do need a little bit of help from you though. The background back here, a lot of the other channels and things that I watch, there's all kinds of LEDs and lights and stuff in the background. What do we think about what's going on back here? This kind of represents me. I kind of have a neat demeanor about my workspace. Everything is in its place and there is a place for everything. I don't know that I need a lot of neon lights and stuff back here. Would that be distracting? I tried that when I first started. And when I was recording a couple of videos just to test out my equipment, the LEDs kind of made a flashing thing on the wall back there and it drove me crazy, so I just didn't use them. But what do we think about this? And as always, this little parasol lady over here kind of represents my wife and her support. That's her only card in her personal collection. But anyway, if you have any feedback about what I should be doing back here or ideas, I would love to hear your feedback. But I want to tell you a little bit about myself. I grew up in Texas. I grew up on the Gulf Coast of Texas in a small town, probably about 30,000 people. And growing up in the, I guess I would say I kind of grew up in the 80s. And there wasn't a lot of what you would consider today geek culture. In fact, back then, being a nerd or a geek was actually something that was a negative term. But now, over the course of the last 20 years or so, this whole geek subculture and people having things that they collect has really been embraced by society or monetized or however you want to look at it. So I remember how difficult it was to be a kid that was really into sci-fi and some of those kind of things in a small Texas town. Finding my people, those kids that played video games and stuff like that, it was kind of challenging. But I certainly found my friends, Greg and James and many others, that we would play video games together, play Nintendo and do geeky stuff, watch Star Trek The Next Generation, and I'll make a call back to that here in just a moment. But Star Wars, super huge fan of Star Wars. Like I remember watching, my uncle had the VHS tapes that he recorded off HBO. Sorry, you may be way too young to understand VHS tapes. Google it. I'm almost 50. Okay. But I remember the first time I saw Star Wars, and the first one that I put in was Empire Strikes Back because I didn't understand the order. And when those AT-AT walkers appeared on Hoth, marching across the snowy plain, making their attack on the rebel base, I was hooked. And so it was difficult back then to find people, but now with obviously the advent of the internet and things like this and YouTube, it's easier to find people that are kind of in that niche. And one of the things I realized, the callback to Star Trek The Next Generation, Will Wheaton, he played Wesley Crusher on Star Trek The Next Generation. He was the Doctor's son, and he was often on the bridge of the USS Enterprise. And one of the things that he kind of started growing in nerd culture, like in the early 2000s, and he did a keynote address, and I can't remember, I tried to Google it, but didn't have much success. I think it was like Gen Con or PAX, but he kind of gave the keynote address. And one of the things that he talked about there was how gaming and his hobbies was kind of the glue or the mortar, I think he even used the word cornerstone, that held his friendships and his friend groups together. Because they would gather around a table, whether it was to play Dungeons and Dragons or play games, and that was the glue that kept them coming back together as friends over and over and over again. And as I've been a gamer, a PC gamer since 1994, before that it was Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, Nintendo, and the Atari, the original Atari that I kind of grew up with. I have a lot of core memories of people being like in my bedroom, playing video games with me, playing the Sega Genesis, Joe Montana football, just some core memories of gaming with my friends. And my friend Greg and I would go rent a game from this local Radio Shack, look it up. And if we took it back to our houses and we didn't like the game, we'd go back and convince the owners to let us swap it out with another game till we found a game that we loved. And those memories, and in fact, Greg and I still game together. We play Sea of Thieves together a couple times a week, and now his son is part of our Sea of Thieves crew. But again, gaming is that thing that kind of pulled us all together. So I want to tell you a few stories about that. So World of Warcraft, I went and found this in the garage. I still have the original box for World of Warcraft that I bought. This box is so heavy. There used to be so much stuff in it. There's like a giant instruction manual in here. The games and the memories that I have being in the guilds, and like my friend Eric and I, our wives taught together. And where I used to work, he worked nearby, and I went in and introduced myself. We were strangers, and we both realized that we were gamers. We loved a PC game, and we started playing World of Warcraft together. Eric is still one of my closest friends. I texted him now, and that was however many years ago that was, almost 20 years ago now, I think. I don't remember when World of Warcraft came out. Let's see. There's not a copyright date on the back of this. I should know this. I'm not being a good geek right now. Early 2000s it came out. I know for sure. And there's this memory I have of Eric and I. We had both started Paladins from scratch. And we were in, I think, Arathi Basin, and we were near the bridge there. Our characters were like in our mid-20s. And we were off doing this kind of side quest, and across the bridge comes an enemy. So in World of Warcraft, there's the Alliance and there's the Horde. We were Alliance. And this Horde troll comes across the bridge and doesn't see us. And I remember us being back then in TeamSpeak and us going like, let's get him, and just unleashing all of our hot buttons and all of our keys. And it looked like the 4th of July. There were golden hammers and sparks flying, and we just melted this guy. And I remember us just laughing and laughing and laughing and enjoying that memory so much. It was so much fun. Or Eric, the same Eric, and a group of friends of mine back home, Luke and Morgan and Nathan and Drew, Mitch, we all got together usually once a month at one of our homes and cleared off the dining room table and played the tabletop game X-Wing that was made by Fantasy Flight Games in Roseville, Minnesota, which ironically I now live like just 20 minutes from there. When I was in Texas, I had no idea where Roseville, Minnesota was or who Fantasy Flight Games were, but been to their place before. And we would create these elaborate scenarios, but it was like us versus the game, and we were all on the same team, and some of the amazing dice rolls that we had to get out of harm's way. And then when I moved here to Minnesota, I didn't know anybody and I didn't have any friends, and I found a group of guys that we started playing Dungeons and Dragons together. And this was my first character. Let me see if it'll dial in there. Yeah, look at this guy. I had a human ranger. His name was Ulrich. ALRIC, and then the pandemic ruined our campaign, so that stinks. But I got this character. I even got into painting miniatures for a while, so this is like a spider that I painted with these really crazy red eyes, and a ton of fun. And so that's how I found my first group of friends when I moved here, was through gaming. And then yesterday I was at work, and a friend came up to me and said, "Hey, did you have any luck getting any of the new Pokemon set, the Mega Evolution set?" And I said, "No, I heard that the line was already 150 people deep at like 3 or 4 a.m. at my local game shop. And I'm trying not to tie up too much of my money in sealed product right now. And so I didn't even go get in line. It was too early in the morning and I had to work the next day." And he reaches in his pocket and he says, "Here," and he hands me this, a booster bundle. And I said, "This is too much. Like this, you can't give this to me." Cat behind me. "You can't give this to me. Let's rip the packs together, or like just take it back. Like this is too much." And he said, "No, I want you to have it." And he had gone out of his way to go to a second or third shop just to be able to pick that up for me, because there's limits on buying it. And so this is something I think at retail is like $25 or $29. And right now it's worth $55 to $60 on TCG Marketplace. And so I got some of the brand new set. This set is literally 2 days old as I'm recording this video. And I say all that because hopefully for you, as you're buying and selling trading cards, you're getting to enjoy the community around them. I could go on and I want to create a video of some of the names of the people that have supported me in this journey. But like the thing I'm realizing is there is still a lot of good and kindness and nerdery, geekery. I don't know, like there are people that love what we're doing. and I want you to enjoy what you're doing. If you're just trying to sell Pokemon cards or trading cards in general, or maybe other, collectibles and things like that to make money, there is certainly far easier ways to make money than to do this. When you're buying cards at 70%, you're selling them at 100%, knowing that by the time you pay for shipping and the platforms take their fees, you're going to be making around 15%. That's not a lot. So there's got to be a love and a passion and a studiousness about looking at the game, looking at the cards, and understanding the community that surrounds them. The videos that I find most compelling are the people, the vendors that are giving cards to kids, and they're spreading the love of the hobby to the next generation. Because frankly, right now Pokemon is quite expensive, and I'm worried if we're leaving that next generation behind, because you don't have those opportunities to just like pick up a pack here or there, because a lot of times the packs are just all gone off the shelves. And so how can we leave this hobby, if you're watching this and you're into Pokemon, maybe you're Magic the Gathering, sports cards, whatever it is, how can we leave these communities better than when we got here, or better than we found them? And maybe you've been a part of it. Maybe I had one of the comments on one of my videos the other day saying like, hey, I was a kid when this was just the thing, and I remember buying cards with my dad, and I remember what it was like to open packs. If that's you, that's amazing. I don't have those memories to go back to, but the memories I do have are a friend coming up and handing this to me out of the blue. And I don't even know if he was watching my content. I just know that I bumped into him from time to time and said, hey, you ripped any good cards lately? And we would just connect over Pokemon. And so for you, I just want to encourage you, like, if you're in this just to make money, that's okay. But man, I hope that you're enjoying it too, and that you have stories that you can tell about gaming or selling and reselling, or connecting with friends, and building memories around these things that we are attracted to, these hobbies, these geeky things that, like I said, when I was a kid, geek was like a bad word, or not a bad word, but like, it was like a disparaging comment. But now we can embrace the things that we love in a way that is, we don't have to be ashamed of. Not that we had to before, but we can embrace it in a great way. So how can we continue to embrace the things that we love, not apologize for them, even when people don't understand why we are excited about the things we're excited about? Bring kindness back to the hobby, bring some camaraderie, make some memories. And so leave some comments down below, not only about what I should be doing with the space back here, but comments down below about what are the things that you're passionate about. Tell me some Pokemon stories. Tell me some video game stories. Tell me some stories about some memorable moments in gaming, whether it's that amazing draw you got to win that Pokemon match, or that amazing dice roll where you conquered the evil boss in Dungeons and Dragons. Tell me some of those stories, and I would love to celebrate with you those memories that you can bring back to the front of your mind, because that is really the fuel to keep these kinds of hobbies and things going, is the passion, then the shared memories. And name your friends in the comments. I just those memories are just amazing, and I love them. And so thanks for being here. I hope that this can be a memory for you as well, just this nostalgia that we can lean back on. But thanks so much for watching these videos. Thanks so much for being a part of this community. Like, sub, support the channel if you want to. The link is down below. But my name is Alan. This is Flip House Finds, and I'll certainly see you in the next video.